Jonathan, happy Monday. It's a basketball Monday because we're sick of football now. You know, the AFC North over this on Sunday yesterday, and
it was a Buckeye bye week.
It was a Buckeye bye week. So yeah, we don't have much football, so we're gotta get the Jimmy Chitwood jersey out. You got the Danville thing out. Get this out of here. Anyway, yeah. So not so fun yesterday on the Sunday for football. Not much to do in college football, but hey. We have some other football that we want to talk about. We got playoffs. The playoffs. The fastest 10 weeks are over, and now the sprint through 6 weeks to get to Canton begins on Friday for most teams. Some teams have the bye. The new top 4 teams get a bye in each region. That's new for this year. So some teams have the week off, but others will be playing on the OH.Report. We'll preview each of our teams' regions. Also, we got our Friday night Phenoms. We've got our top plays from week number 10. And also, we will talk regional soccer and volleyball. No more regular season left in fall sports, Jonathan, as we have a good amount of teams in the volleyball court still playing, and we still have a few teams left on the soccer pitch as well.
Yeah, I can't remember a year like this where we had this many teams still in the mix, ready to go. And regional weekend is going to be really exciting, especially out on the volleyball court. But soccer, some really key matchups that are going to be earlier on in the week, but I know volleyball doesn't start, for the most part, until Thursday, but it's going to be a fantastic week. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll break all that down coming up, but first, we have a special guest on the pod. He is the head coach of the KMAC champion Centerburg Trojans, #1 team in that stacked Division 6 Region 23. His squad has the bye week and will play in 2 weeks' time on the OH.Report. Welcome in Andy Colella, KMAC champion head coach. Coach, how are things going down in Trojan land?
Good. What's up, guys?
Oh, just celebrating a basketball Monday since, everybody's NFL teams lost here this week.
Can't win them all, I guess, right?
Fresh off of a very, I wouldn't say easy, but a strong victory over the Fredericktown Freddies in Freddyburg. Just you had a couple days to just sit back and think about it. But just I guess let's start off just talk about the victory in the Freddyburg and bringing that trophy home. Not only that to keep it, but also bringing home an undefeated KMAC record and a trophy for the championship.
Yeah, I think going into the game, you're not sure kind of how your kids are going to respond to their offense. But I thought once we settled in and kind of figured some things out, I thought we played really well defensively and very efficient on offense, and just really proud of the kids and the effort. And we talked the other day about it's really cool to watch, a group of kids, in this case, set a goal, and work many weeks, sometimes months to get to that point, and for it to come to fruition is really cool for them, and just really proud of them.
Coach, just kind of take me through this season. How fun has it been just watching this group grow throughout the last 7 weeks in this undefeated KMAC run, and what it's been like having a front row seat on the sidelines getting to watch this team work?
Yeah, exactly. Get the best seat in the house. Watch those guys play. I love watching them play. They play with great effort and energy. They enjoy what they're doing. You don't get that all the time. So to get a group of kids that goes out and loves playing the game is really special. And, for them to accomplish, that goal, they have other goals in mind as well. But for right now, to see them accomplish that and to be, front row on that whole deal there is pretty cool.
Coach, going off of that, this is a very special team. I mean, you have so many pieces on the defensive and offensive end. When did you first know that this was going to be a very special team this season?
You kind of have an idea of what you have back. You're not really sure how it all fits together. But early in the summer, you start competing against other schools and, 7-on-7s and scrimmages, and you get a better idea. Like, we scrimmage Upper Sandusky and Columbus Academy. Columbus Academy is a great program. Mm-hmm. We competed well against them. I think that gave our kids some confidence. They had a different kind of edge to them after that, and that kind of set us in the right direction.
Well, Coach, now the table resets, and I was looking forward to asking you about this bye week that you guys are about to embrace coming up this Friday. What do you see? What's the angle that you and your coaching staff are going to take using this bye to propel you to Week 12?
Yeah, we're kind of in uncharted territory here. The only other time something similar has happened was during COVID, when everybody made the playoffs and there was a group of teams that had a bye week, but that was a little bit different than this week because you were battling the whole COVID thing and trying to stay healthy and not sick and all that kind of stuff. But our approach give the kids some time off here. We were actually off today. Get back at it for a couple days and then just kind of recharge. Get them moving around tomorrow and have more of a practice-like structure for the next 3 days. And you want them competing, but at the same time, I think we have a pretty mature team, and to get them healthy is most important.
And Coach, is there going to be any type of, maybe a scrimmage on Friday night, anything to keep that, that script, that schedule that you guys have going? Because, the last 10 weeks you've been playing on a Friday night. Is it something where maybe like a two-hand touch game, flag football, something not to get them injured, but to keep them into that mindset of, hey, we got a game on Friday?
No, that hadn't been part of the conversation yet. Maybe as the week goes along, I don't know. But to your point, though, the competitive nature, I think we were going to throw in some competitive situations the next couple of days and get them to compete that way. But I think the end goal for the week is to be healthier and rejuvenated from where we were at. It's a long haul. It's 10 weeks plus the 2 scrimmages plus the week before that. So 13 weeks is a long time. So I think earning the right to have a week off per se, I think could be a good thing.
And you're not the only one in the KMAC getting a week off. I want to give a shout-out also to Coach Mike Reed in Mount Gilead. I know that they told us a little bit of their plans for their bye week that they want to – well, I think, Coach Reed, was it you that he texted
he messaged me earlier. He said that, hey, are you guys going to be streaming the Colonel Crawford game? I'm going to be there, but all the boys, they want to get in the locker room and they want to watch it. So I think I know where you're going with this, Jonathan. What are your plans for, scouting your – possible next opponent, which is either Ridgewood or Newcomerstown? Is that something where you guys, the coaches, are going, or is there maybe a stream where the boys are going to be watching back in Centerburg?
Yeah, I'm not sure yet. They play Newcomerstown. I do know that. We'll have to scour the internet to see if it's streamed somewhere. I don't know how that works over in that part of the state. But
sorry, Coach, we don't either that one.
Yeah, no. That's all right, I suppose. Do one of the 2 things. If it's not streamed, go check it out in person, and it's kind of neat. You get an opportunity to go see some, a different game in the middle, not in the middle of the season, but in the playoffs there. So that's kind of neat.
What are your? We talked a little bit about. What are your thoughts about the bye week? I know it's a good thing to get. Get your boys healthy. If anybody's hurt up, get some energy back in the squad. But when this was unveiled that we were going to the actual format that the coaches wanted before COVID, was this something that you've wanted?
I like the old 8 team deal. It's pretty straightforward. It's competitive. I guess this might be the next best thing. I'm not sure. I don't know if there's a way to do it, but I thought we were talking about it in school today. If the top 4 teams had an option, maybe kind of like they do in, I don't know if basketball or some of the other sports where they set up the bracket.
Oh, like a seeding.
If you wanted to play, you can play since you're in the top 4. If you wanted the bye, you could have the bye. I don't even know if that's a possibility or not, but we were talking about it today in school. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of like what volleyball did this year with their districts, where the number 1 seed, they get to look at an empty bracket basically and place themselves wherever they want, and then it depends on the rest of the seeding going 1 through 12 in this case to see where the 2 seed wants to go from there, where the 3 goes from there, where the 4, and then so on. So that'd be interesting to see. I don't know if we would see some higher seeds try to take on the higher seeds earlier, or because that does happen sometimes.
Well, this goes in my next question for Coach. I was on the call a couple years ago when a highly seeded Centerburg team played a good Columbus Academy squad that was a lower seed. Columbus Academy came in and knocked you guys off. That might be something where you would see teams trying to avoid it. But Coach, let's talk about that just for a moment. You got the tough loss to Columbus Academy. opening round of the playoffs that year. Is that something you guys as a coaching staff kind of learned about, I don't know, about preparation or things like that, not taking any teams for granted? I know it was a bad draw for you guys at that, but, did you guys learn anything from that playoff season that you can bring into this year?
Yeah, absolutely you do. You try to learn from everything, but when you get to this point of the season, we're trying to tell the kids on Saturday, and the good thing is they've experienced this now, but there's just a different sense of urgency to the games. It's one and done. It's literally a one-game season. You try to preach that all year, but when you're in week one, in the back of your mind you have 9 more weeks. But now in this situation, you can't take anybody lightly. All they just need to beat you one time. That's it.
And it goes back. It goes back to all 12 of these teams earned their spots in the playoffs. While it is smaller, a lot of teams are going to be a threat. And I know that in the KMAC, there's a lot of respect for you and the rest of the coaches and the teams that did make the playoffs. I don't know how I feel if I'm the 6th-seeded Steubenville Central Catholic Crusaders as they look and get ready to take on Danville that just went to a state Final Four as an 11 seed. So, Coach, just kind of brag on the rest of your teams in the KMAC and whoever was able to make it into the postseason and how tough of a league it was this year.
Yeah, I think we talked about that a little bit at the beginning of the season in the pregame or the preseason show that you guys had. With the success of the teams the last several years, last year there were 2 Final Four teams. It's a great preparation for the postseason. This year, Mount Gilead and Danville and Fredericktown, they've all earned the right to play in the playoffs. And, it's cool to coach with those guys. It's a great league, competitive-wise. It's, the coaches are top-notch. So it's fun to be a part of, and it's really cool to watch their success in the postseason.
And going with that, I mean, the teams you just said, Mount Gilead, Danville, Fredericktown, 3 of the last 4 games that you played this season. So I guess it could say you're battle-tested, especially over the last 4 weeks. Just the way that schedule played out for you guys, that has to be a benefit playing some high-quality playoff opponents and in even the atmosphere of Freddyburg, where both of you guys go in there 8-1, not only for a championship but for a high seed. So it seems like you guys have already played playoff football this year.
Yeah, absolutely. All 3 of those teams, the last couple of weeks there, have that caliber to them. So it's good to get that competition and, to compete. And then obviously for us to win those games, bodes well and builds confidence in our kids. When we get to this point, hopefully it will pay some dividends.
All right, Coach. Well, we'll let you get back to your preparation for the bye week. Get your players some rest this week. Enjoy it. Go watch some good football on Friday night. And, best of luck. I know Jonathan, he's already called dibs for your game next Friday night. So we wish you nothing but the best of luck. Wish you best of health this week for all your boys. And congratulations on the KMAC championship.
And I'll see you in the heart of Ohio.
Awesome. Sounds good, guys. Thank you very much.
That is Centerburg head coach and KMAC champion, Andy Colella. Thank you once again, Coach. And Jonathan, you know what? Tough loss to Johnstown in week number 2, but since then they've knocked off 8 wins in a row, and they've just pretty much steamrolled everybody. Their closest win was at Northmore, which they did everything in that game. Big runs, big passes. You had a block punt for a touchdown as well, and that just shows that was the first glimpse to everybody else in the KMAC that, man, this is a complete squad.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that they have a long run awaiting them in the postseason as their road to, as I like to say, 5-0 now, even though
yes.
With that bye, some teams aren't going to get the chance at 6 playoff games. But Centerburg, I've gotten to see them 5 times this year. I've been impressed every single time. It just feels like this team, as the year went on, consistently improved. They had a string of 7 games where they scored over 40-plus points, and in the game that they didn't get 40-plus points, they shut out their opponent. So this defense, offense, just all clicking right now. Even the special teams, when I got to see them play against Danville a few weeks ago, got involved. But I really look forward to what they have in store here in the postseason as they try to keep the reputation of the KMAC really strong, and I think they're going to be the spearheaders in that.
And also, we'll see, did they clinch the Country Roads Championship? Hillsdale lost, number 1 team. Margaretto is a good team there. Centerburg right behind them as well. So did this Fredericktown running clock victory get them the championship? I'll be live tomorrow night after soccer to tell you if the Trojans are champions in another top 10. But let's get into the playoffs, and get right into things. Talk about playoffs. Yes, we are. 10 weeks are gone. Fastest 10 weeks are done, and now we are into the playoff push. And like I said, new format this year, top 4 seeds get a bye, so they get to watch their possible opponents here coming up on Friday night. A lot of scouting from these coaches. But let's start at the bottom or the top. Division 2, whatever you want to say, it's the top or the bottom, and look at region number 7. D2 Region 7, where the Ashland Arrows, the Big Walnut Golden Eagles, and also, Louisville as well, the 16 seed. But Ashland, tough loss on Friday night to Lexington, fell in the OCC championship, and that actually knocked them out of a top 4 spot. But let's talk about first the Big Walnut Golden Eagles and just the juggernaut that team led by Nolan Burley, who just runs up and down the field with ease.
Yeah, they're the premier name here in this region, as we're going to break it down here momentarily. But Big Walnut, last year, great success that ended in the hands of Anderson. They've got that kind of in the back of their minds as they're ready to run through, I believe, this region that is headed by Nolan Burley, a nice rushing attack that always is a good recipe for success. I can't count enough people, running back-led teams that have done some damage later on in the postseason. So Big Walnut, I'm excited to see them get to work. Bryce Coder is going to be all over that for us here at the OH.Report. It's going to be exciting.
They could possibly get a rematch with Kilbourne, who gave them a battle back 4 weeks ago. They beat Kilbourne 35-20 in that one. But, yeah, they'll get the winner of Walnut Ridge and Worthington Kilbourne. I talked about the Louisville Leopards. They'll play another one of the opponents that the Golden Eagles knocked off. That's Westerville South. They beat them 28-7, did Big Walnut. And Division 2 Region 7. And Louisville takes on Westerville South. Winner takes on Canal Winchester. As you see, Nolan Burley and company. But, Big Walnut, when they lost in that Final Four, they had a lead and then lost it late. Anderson takes it from them, goes to Canton for the championship, and you think, you know what, with everybody that's back, it was kind of a year ahead for Big Walnut. They kind of like what we saw with Hillsdale. You thought maybe this would be the year that they would break through, but they broke through a year early and showed what they had to offer, and they had that chip on their shoulder since. And, Week 1, Bishop Watterson put up a better fight than they did last year against the team that's probably going to win the D3 state championship running away in Bishop Watterson. But, the Golden Eagles are just rolling right now. And once again, the favorites now, you do have Massillon Washington as the 3 seed. Wouldn't face them until the regional final.
But they beat them last year.
Yes, they did. And it was at
Arlen
Field. But Massillon Washington, they're on the bottom half of the bracket. They'll get the winner of North Canton Hoover, and Northland. But a possible semifinal as well would be maybe Ashland Mount Vernon. We've got Adam Thompson's Mount Vernon Yellow Jackets taking on the Ashland Arrows and Nathan Bernhard. The winner of that gets Columbus St. Francis de Sales. And then two regional semifinals there. I mean, Bernhard versus Massillon Washington. What would you think about that for a regional semi?
I mean, that would be special. It'd be great to see Ashland get a shot at a team like that, because we all know the OCC was a little lighter this year, and then the one test they had week 10, they weren't able to get it done against Lexington. But Ashland, I still really like them in this region, as just going to get a great chance to watch my alma mater go to work, as I felt like last year was a little bit of a letdown compared to what we're going to see these next couple of weeks out of those Arrows.
Yep. So top seed, Big Walnut, will get the winner of Walnut Ridge, Worthington Kilbourne. The 4th seed, Canal Winchester, gets the winner of Westerville South Louisville. The 3 seed, Massillon Washington, against North Canton Hoover, Columbus Northland, and the 2 seed Columbus St. Francis de Sales gets the winner of Ashland Mount Vernon. So it'll be interesting to see how this bracket will play out this playoff season. We got some good games coming up just in week 1 as well. As one of those stacked regions. We got a lot of stacked regions here and some good football in Division 2. Let's move on to Division 3, Region 10, and the team that beat the Ashland Arrows, the number 3 seed, the Lexington Minutemen. And, man, what a win for Lexington. 43 points, I believe, against Ashland in that win. I mean, phenomenal victory. I thought Ashland was, going to run away with it once again, but Brian Skoronsky, he's the one that said that this would be Lexington's year, and they did. 43-35 over Ashland. They lost to Shelby. That's their lone loss. I mean, that's not a bad loss for them back in week number 2, kind of like Centerburg. After the week 2 loss, bounces back, gets in there. But them and also the Ontario Warriors are in the same half of the bracket as we see that highlight from earlier. Yep,
this could be next week 12 matchup between 2 rivals, just like we're seeing.
But Ontario has to take care of Toledo Central Catholic first.
I'm trying to be optimistic over here,
please
Travis.
be. Yeah, we have to. For North Central Ohio. You never know what Coach Eckert's
But if this does
can
happen
do.
between Lex and Ontario, it would be the second big matchup in a postseason between those 2 schools, because later on we're going to talk about some soccer that's going to be going on.
Yes, that could be. But, yeah, Lexington down there in the 3 seed. We'll get the winner of Toledo Central Catholic and Ontario at home. Top seed is Medina Buckeye. They'll get either Copley or St. Mary's Memorial. Revere will get Rocky River or Midview. And then Wapak, the number 2 seed, 10-0. They're running ragged along in Division 3, taking on Shawnee or Holy Name. So, this is going to be – I mean, it's a tough draw. I mean, as a 6 seed, Toledo Central Catholic pretty much playing Michigan squads out of the Detroit League, getting them ready. But, hey, I think Lexington has what it takes. They got 2 Division I athletes that are probably going to be, after the season's over, heading to their colleges to play football early on. So, this kind of reminds me of the Cade Stover years when they made a run to the regional semifinals, losing to Toledo Central Catholic, actually. But the team, this is their best chance, I believe, to do something, and that's the Lexington Minutemen. Yeah,
I definitely believe that they've got a shot, but I do also have a little bit of concern, because any team that comes out 10-0 in the area that Wapakoneta plays in, with all the competition that is in that area, I wouldn't take any of them lightly. So Wapakoneta, that's going to be the name that I watch out for here in this region. I'm not taking anything away from Medina Buckeye, but I feel like that Wapak team was a little bit underseeded despite still sitting at that 2 spot.
Yeah, I think I'm with you right there. Let's move on to Region 14 out of Division 4, and that's where the Shelby Whippets, the number 1 team in all of Division 4, sit number 1, and they get possibly a rematch with Clear Fork, but don't count out Orville. I've seen them a couple of times. They had some big playmakers. Brian Skoronsky will be on the call of that one on Friday night, but that's an intriguing 8-9 matchup, Jonathan.
Yeah, this is probably one of our best regions for the area as far as that's concerned, because we are going to see at least one winner in this region, because Orville and Clear Fork take on each other. And then after that, we've got Shelby, who is one of the favorites in the division to get themselves get themselves to a state championship, but they would have to take on the winner of that game that I mentioned before, Galleon. I love that the MOAC has the 1st and the 2nd seed in this region. That just shows the strength up at the top, as Clear Fork was in that conversation, so that's something to note as well. As an 8 seed, they played Galleon pretty close. I think it was 20-7 was the final in that game last week. But the Tigers, I'm still excited about Coach Matt Dick and what his squad is going to do for Galleon. And they're on the bottom half of the bracket, and I'm looking at some of those other names. Maybe Perkins could sneak away. Napoleon, of course, the Wildcats up in Northwest Ohio. But Galleon, they've looked good against everybody but Shelby.
Yeah, let's talk about Shelby a little bit more, because they're just such a good football team. I mean, Bellevue is the number 5 seed, and they went up there and just ran them off their own field. The Whippets are, I mean, AP voters across the state. You have more AP voters down in the Cincinnati area than anywhere else, and everybody's giving Shelby first-place votes because of Braden DeVito, because of Brady Bowman, because of the great defense that they have. Galleon, 35 34 points given up. That's the most. Every other game, they've given up only 2 scores or less, except for that Galleon matchup. That is how good this defense from the Whippets are, and that's why, Galleon also still state ranked and the number 2 seed, able to put in a shootout. It's kind of like Ontario last year with Shelby, but the Whippets are just so good, Jonathan.
Yeah, they're just as dominant as I think we've ever seen in this area. Of course, we just had a great Ontario team last year, but they played it close with Shelby a few times last year. But now that the X Factor Bodpin Miller's over at Ohio State, you're starting to see Shelby run away. That's exactly what they did with the MOAC, getting the 1 seed, going 10-0. They've got a great duo in, of course, DeVito, and then also Bowman, as we talked about. Spoilers, they may be top play yet again,
and they may be
this week.
They also may be stat leaders champions in passing and receiving. We'll have that. I'll have that for you live tomorrow night about 9:30 to see who our stat champions are. Watch the rushing one. I previewed that last week, but the rushing champion, it came down to the wire, and we got a winner. But the cool thing also about this bracket is we will have an area team in a regional semifinal no matter what because of that Clear Fork, Orville, Shelby pod.
Yeah, that's very true. So that'll be one that we look for moving forward because I know that we expect a lot of area teams to be in a regional semi, but it's always good to know that you're at least going to have one. So
so we'll
great.
at least have
Actually,
one stream.
We're at least going to have two, but we'll get to one later.
Yes, we will. Now let's move on to D5, the Region 18 bracket, and quickly talk about the Fredericktown Freddies. They had a chance in region number 18 to get a top 4 spot if they would have beat Centerburg, but the 8-2 record has them down at number 10 in their region, so they will be taking on Fairview at Fairview on Friday night. But Fredericktown's they got a pretty darn good squad. Their 2 losses were to the top 2 teams in the KMAC, in Mount Gilead, and then also in Centerburg, week number 10. But Fredericktown, the Fighting Scott Spittlers, I'm intrigued to see if they can get past that road victory. If they could get a road victory in week number 1, then they go up to take on Triway.
Yeah, that'd be a fun matchup for us to kind of take a look at because we got to see Triway play Orville in week 10. But Fredericktown, that's Fairview, my mistake. Fairview up by Cleveland. It's actually right by Mr. Andy Jardy, so maybe he might go catch
on the west side of Cleveland.
West side of Cleveland. But Fredericktown, they have the same recipe, I would say, as Centerburg, except they don't have the luxury of a pass game. But Gavin Toombs, very good tight end, just a very good tight end lead, period, for the KMAC. And then they've also got a dual threat quarterback in Blake Sipes. Those two, can they will their team to victory on the road? That'll be fun to see.
Top half of the bracket, top seed Liberty Center, and the WCAL champion Norwayne Bobcats, the 4 seed. They'll take on either Liberty Benton or Delta. And also, just a quick mention, Edison Port Clinton as well. Possibility of a stream if we can get some sponsors from anybody from Edison. Contact Chris Bliley. He's trying to get some sponsors to do that game. So, Edison, if you want your game on the OH.Report this weekend against Port Clinton, we will just reach out to him and we'll do it. Winner will get Genoa area. So there are your top 4 seeds right there. Moving on to region number 22. It's out of Division 6. And the brackets there with our team out of the bracket, the Cary Blue Devils. You got Margaretha in the number 1 squad as well. And Seneca East. How about the job Seneca East did against Mohawk, running away to clinch a home game in that one. They're the 6th seed. They'll take on Woodmore with the winner taking on Archbold.
Yeah, that's going to be a really great game for Seneca East. I kind of had a feeling at the beginning of the year it was a little odd of a score, but watching them beat, I believe it was Crestview 2-0.
Yes,
that was a statement game for the
A
defense.
7-2 victory over Monroeville or something like that.
Yeah, it was a statement win for the defense, and then they took that into Northmore in a game that they unfortunately lost. That kind of made them stumble a little bit the next couple of weeks, but then they bounced back, and Seneca East going to have a good chance with a good spot in the bracket in my eyes. As let's see, if they win, they would take on a 8-2 Archbold. So. we'll see what happens there.
And also, we talked about Western Reserve. They're the 10 seed. They got one heck of a running attack, and they got a quarterback back as well. It's healthy, so don't look out. That might be, a 10 seed that had some losses with some injuries, but now that they're healthy, maybe they knock off 7-seeded Bluffton and then take on Hopewell Loudon, who is always good in that region. But now let's talk about the Cary Blue Devils, the 9 seed that lost, knocking off Crawford, really vaulted them back into the, hey, this could be one of those sneaky teams, then falling on the Philly special and losing the Mohawk in overtime. But don't look down on these Cary Blue Devils. Despite not being at home, Patrick Henry's got a test for them coming up on Friday night.
Yeah, one of the best names in area football, Dash Puckett. You're seeing him run across your screen right now. But also they've got the quarterback, Trip Phoenix, who I'll be honest, I kind of questioned why they moved him to the quarterback position, but maybe more of a run-heavy offense this year with Cary. They didn't really see him getting many looks at receiver, but Trip Phoenix has done a great job in that position. And the only thing is for me, though, is that they've got a long trip over to Patrick Henry for that 8-9 matchup. So best of luck to the Blue Devils as they make a trip on the road. Never easy to win on the road, especially in a postseason game. And Patrick Henry, they ain't no joke.
No, and neither is Margaretta, the team that knocked off Hopewell Loudon in an upset. They're also playing for a Country Roads championship. Maybe they got their victory in Week 10 to clinch that up. They're in the top 3. But Margaretta, seeing as the 1 seed, would get either Cary or Patrick Henry. And like we mentioned, on the bottom half of the bracket, 10th-seeded Western Reserve, 6th-seeded Seneca East. Now to, I think, the funnest region, Region 23 in Division 6, where those Centerburg Trojans head coach Andy Colella, they got themselves a bye week coming up in this one. But multiple KMAC squads will be sitting at home, resting, watching who they will play, as Mount Gilead right there in that bracket too will get the winner of Eastern and Colonel Crawford. And like I said earlier, Coach Reed messaged me, you guys going to be streaming the Crawford game? Yeah, we are, Coach. I'm going to be there to scout, but the boys want to get in the locker room and watch that game to scout themselves. And that tells you the focus on this Mount Gilead squad too. Second time ever making the playoffs, first ever 9-win season in the history of the school, and they want more.
And this is the recipe for a team that is going to go far in the postseason. A team that has never been there before. They haven't seen this kind of success. And how far can the adrenaline, I guess you could say, take them? Coach Reed, this is a college offensive and defensive line. They are big up front, and that is another recipe for success. You're also looking for that guy on the screen who just scored that touchdown to get back out on the field, Wyatt Long, good tight end for this team in another kind of exhibit A or sort of deal of how good the tight ends this year have been in the KMAC. He's going to be big. But Carson Barnum, I think you told me in the Battle of 42, he was trailing Wyatt Denny by 40-plus yards.
And don't give it away. I don't want to give it away, but he needed to outgain him by 50 to get the Stat Leaders Championship. And that's what you call a tease, folks, because I don't want to give it away yet because it came down to the last 2 quarters of that game to see who won it. So we'll give you that. But, yes, those 2 will finish. But Carson Barnum at least finished in the top 2, folks. We'll say that. I don't want you giving it away yet. I want people watching. So
that's very true.
There you go. But, no, thank you for mentioning Carson Barnum.
I'll keep my mouth shut on that. But Carson Barnum, he was one of my sleepers, dark horses for KMAC Player of the Year. And he's played great. And he deserves it, but I think there are some other players more deserving of KMAC Player of the Year. It was very competitive towards the top. But back to Mount Gilead and their postseason run, I'm sure they are licking their chops if they can get past Colonel Crawford and get a rematch with Centerburg, but you got to take it a week at a time.
Now let's talk about Colonel Crawford, though. Had that tough loss to Cary, kind of knocked them out at the moment for the Northern 10 Championship, but then thanks to Mohawk, the Philly special got them back into it, and then Mohawk loses, so it's only a 2-way tie. But that win against Mohawk really vaulted them up. Crawford, one of the favorites maybe in this region early on in the season. Cary got the best of them, but other than that, a number 5 seed, it's 9-1. Mount Gilead has to bring their A game against Crawford because Colonel Crawford could very well be that team that takes on Centerburg in a regional semi.
And this is, like you said, my favorite region. 6-9-1. Well, I guess Fort Fry's 8-1. They had a game canceled, but basically 6-9-1 teams that are stacked here in this region. And it's unfortunate that we see Centerburg, Mount Gilead, and Colonel Crawford all on the top half of this bracket. I was hoping for a potential chance at a regional championship between the two sides, or at least 2 of the 3 in that list. But this Colonel Crawford team, what makes me excited about this team and a little bit more concerned for some of our other teams is how good they can throw the football, because we've seen with specifically Mount Gilead, when they played against Centerburg, the passing game kind of threw them for a loop. And then that Colonel Crawford Mount Gilead game could be the 4-5, but Crawford, as I said with Mount Gilead, 1 week at a time, got to beat Reedsville Eastern, the 12 seed that, by the way, in this region is 7-3. We had 6-3, 3 6-4s, including Northmore and Crestview, 2 teams in our area, miss out on the playoffs.
Yeah.
In fact, Crestview was 16th in this region.
Yeah, it was crazy that a couple plays for both of those teams. Crestview had a chance against Monroeville late. Northmore had a chance early on against who was it?
Centerburg?
No, North Union. It was North Union.
Oh, yes.
They lost late, gave up a couple touchdowns late, and then the Mount Gilead game too. They missed the 2-point conversion. So those are teams that they're like Mount Gilead last year, where Mount Gilead was a couple plays away from maybe wrecking through this tournament, getting in, getting some big wins. But now the Mount Gilead Indians, not only are they into the postseason, but they get a week to get rested and ready. And especially for a guy like Carson Barnum, who averages 30-plus carries a game, this is a very beneficial bye week for those Indians.
Yeah, except this time Northmore has to feel a little bit more shafted because of the 6-4 record, and they see their counterparts in Danville make a playoff at 5-5. But to kind of put a bow on this region, there are 27 teams in this region. Only 8 had a below 500 record. That just tells you how competitive it was.
And you have Kirtland in Division 6, but very well, if they're not matched up in a semifinal, this finalist may come out of this region because it's so packed and so good. Let's move on now into the Division 7. Let's look at Region 25 in Division 7. This is where we see St. Paul, and this is where we see Monroeville, who also is on a bye week. Monroeville gets the winner of St. John's School in Malvern, while the St. Paul Flyers will travel all the way over to Youngstown to take on Warren JFK. But again, we get both of our teams playing in the top half of the bracket, Monroeville and St. Paul.
Yeah, so Monroeville, great win for them against St. Paul, as you said, just to get that game winner to secure an unbeaten Firelands.
Well, wait, once the Monroeville Eagles take the field, we'll go through some of our team spotlights.
But Chris and Brandon are going to be right there for Monroeville as they try to make a run. I'm sure Chris is going to be excited to hop back on and talk about those Eagles soon enough for some of our playoff pickskins as we wrap up the show. Is it week 12 that we're going to be ending the pick?
I don't know. It might be next week. Next week.
So it's this week that ends
Maybe it might be. Might be this week. I'm not sure. That's up to Brian Skoronsky, not us. So. But anyway, so yeah, we'll see if these two teams St. Paul can move on, but they'll get McDonald, the top seed, if they're able to knock off Warren JFK. While, like I said, Monroeville will get either the 5th seed in Malvern and St. John, the 12 seed. Looking down at the bottom half, Berlin Center Western Reserve, not our Western Reserve, will take on East Palestine. Winner taking on Mogador, and then East Canton against David Anderson out of Lisbon will take on Fairport Harding. And last year, Fairport Harding was in D7, and Hillsdale completely derailed them in the first round of the playoffs. But they learned from that one. They got themselves a 2 seed in the different region this year in D7.
Well, here's the thing. I'm looking at this Region 25, and I'm looking at a 3-7 Buckeye Central that nearly made it.
If they would have won, if they would have beat Upper Sandusky, they probably would have made it in.
And it's kind of wild that we go from a region like a Centerburg, Mount Gilead, Colonel Crawford, and how stacked that was. And then you see Buckeye Central that, unfortunately for them, lost 6 straight games to miss out on the postseason. But shout out to the Bucks. They had a great start to the year. N10 was a gauntlet this season, but looking at the 12 teams that actually did make a playoff here, St. Paul on the road, that's a long bus ride for those St. Paul Flyers, as they're going to have to go all the way to Warren JFK, a team that actually knocked them out in basketball last year.
That's right. That is yeah. It should, I'm hoping. You never know. St. Paul, they've surprised teams before. Maybe we get that semifinal between Monroeville and St. Paul that came down to the wire in Week 10. We'll just have to find out. Staying in Division 7 now, let's take a look at D7 Region 26. And that is where the Mohawk Warriors sit. They take on Montpelier at home. You'll see it on Friday night. Winner taking on Leipzig. And that's really the only area team we have in there. Ridgedale also snuck in as the 12th seed.
Yeah.
So we have the Ridgedale Rockets taking on Gibsonburg. Then the winner goes up to Columbus Grove, who's always a competitor in the regional tournament. But Mohawk, what a phenomenal game against Cary. I keep talking about the Phillies special, breaking that out on 4th down in overtime, needing to score to have a chance to win it or tie, and they just pull that out perfectly and then knock off Cary with a chance to win the N10, a share of the N10 title, and then Seneca East comes out of nowhere and beats them. But I think there's no such, you rarely can say it's a good loss, but I think it's a loss that wakes up Mohawk right before the postseason. It kept them from getting a top 4 seed. However, they will be at home this weekend.
Yeah, Dash Puckett's my favorite name in our area, but the second favorite is probably Andon Klaus and how good he has been this year for Mohawk as the signal caller. Mohawk Warriors, I'm excited that we're going to get to see them live and free this Friday night as they start their postseason run. Josh Banks will be on the call for that game this Friday. And then also, shout out to Calvert. Great season for Tiffin Calvert. They miss out on the postseason by 0.05 of a point.
It's tough. They had some chances, just unable to get it done. A tough schedule for them, but just unable to sneak into that postseason there in Region 26. Lost 38-31 to Woodmore in week number 9. That was one of those losses that they could have gotten. They lost to St. Paul by 2 in week 3. So there's 2 chances that could have gotten them into there. Now to the final bracket of the night, Region 27, where the number 1 seed, probably a little bit with a chip on their shoulder after what happened last week, lost by 7 points to Norwayne, which could have won them an undefeated season in a WCAL championship, but it was for naught as Norwayne held them off despite being outscored 8-3 in that second half. But Hillsdale, they get the bye. They'll get the winner of Bishop Rosecrans and Connaughton Valley, and I will be on the call of that game down at Hillsdale. I look forward to see how they bounce back, and I believe they will bounce back because they're just that good. You can't count out Norwayne. Norwayne had a tough non-conference schedule where they got those 2 losses. I think it was Triway and another game that they lost. But Hillsdale, they're going to bounce back. They lost worst, actually, to Norwayne last year, and look where they went.
This is Hillsdale's to lose. I think this is one of the regions that we look at and I think if you had to take any region in our area that you could pick one team for sure to make it out of a region, I think I'm picking Hillsdale in this region. It's close between them and then Shelby in the region that we covered before. But these Falcons, you said it, they were a year early last year, and that showed in the score against Marion Local. But the Falcons, I think they're ready to go. That's, just like you said with Mohawk, a wake-up game.
Yeah,
and that happened the previous season. And then you roll, and then you get another wake-up game in Norwayne, a team that played well, was able to beat you by a touchdown. But you also got to recognize that they're a bigger school, just like with Centerburg, as we talked with Coach Colella, and their loss to Johnstown. But Hillsdale, I really like them to make it out of this region. But what I also really like is the fact that 5 through 14 and 5 through 13 were decided Saturday night.
Yeah.
So here's the deal.
Because Crestline could have got into this, but South Gallia ended up winning.
Yeah,
I believe,
South
and that's what
Gallia
knocked
was
them out.
13 in this region. They had a Saturday game. They won that Saturday game. They jumped all the way
Up
to
the
5.
fifth,
So here's the gist of what I'm kind of getting at. There's going to be upsets all over this region, and I believe those Danville Blue Devils are going to be one of them.
Well, let's talk about the Danville Blue Devils. That was my next one. They're going to head all the way to the Ohio River, to the OVAC, and take on Steubenville Catholic Central at the home of Steubenville Big Red at Harding Stadium. You're going to enjoy that stadium because Jonathan's going to take his hind end, and he's going to go to the Ohio River as well. The second time the OH.Report's ever been there. I was there at Belair when Northport took him on for a highlight. This will be our first ever live stream in OVAC territory, and Cy Wallace and company are going to take on Steubenville Catholic Central with a chance to take on Fisher Catholic. And Jonathan, you're the K-Mac guy now.
Yes, sir.
I've stepped behind to the number 2 spot, but just talk about this Danville squad and why they will have the upset against Catholic Central.
Before I jump into that, I want to give a shout-out to the AD, Jill Lyons.
Shout out, Jill.
Also to Matt Bloom. I just got the text 20 minutes ago.
Yes.
I can ride the bus.
So
I will be there.
Fans, Jonathan Langdon will be on the bus heading over there with his equipment. I've done this before with Northmore basketball for a couple district championship games going down to Columbus. Well, Jonathan, he's going to be on the bus. So get the goodie bags ready for Mr. Langdon and his camera guy. Who else coming with you?
Peyton Colopy, and we're figuring out a camera.
So, and then the camera person at our choosing will be going. So if you want to get some goodie bags going, get the OH.Report, the seat marked off for Jonathan and company. But we will be making the trip on the bus all the way back to the OVAC country in Steubenville, Ohio. But why do you think the Danville Blue Devils will be moving on to take on Fisher Catholic?
Okay, here's the deal. I'm looking at Catholic Central's schedule. I'm looking at some of the teams that they beat. They beat a Bridgeport team 22-13.
Yes.
The Danville team last year beat them 54-0.
Yes, they did.
There's just I just feel like I had this impression, and this is exactly why I feel like Hillsdale is going to run out of the region. It's just a different level of football that comes down from where we are to what hits Southeast Ohio. I'm looking at Wheeling Central Catholic right now.
That's
Catholic
that was my rival.
I've done a little bit of research on them. They are a run-heavy team. Think Blake Sipes. They've got a dual-threat quarterback that is going to run a ton. He might throw a couple of 5-yard flag routes to a couple of pretty solid receivers, but I really feel like it is a Fredericktown-esque team, and that's what Coach Bloom's going to tell me when we're on the bus on the way to Steubenville, that they watched a lot of Blake Sipes to get ready for this Steubenville Catholic Central quarterback.
Well, also, Catholic Central, they fell to one of my best friends, Josh Ford. He's a graduate of Oak Glen in West Virginia. His daughter, Lucy, goes there now, but that was one of the losses for Catholic Central, the Oak Glen Golden Bears. They lost 28-0. But that, and then they lost to Fairport, a 10-0 Fairport squad, 27-20. Competitive, knocked off a Conotton Valley squad by 18. Conotton Valley, like we said, might be seeing Hillsdale. And an East Technical, a D3 squad, only 3 wins. They knocked them off 37-6. But, we'll see. Can Danville continue to run? I have good faith. But a team that defeated Catholic Central earlier this year was the Strasburg Franklin Tigers, and that is where I will be on Friday night. Is Lucas knocking off? They had to win out pretty much to get into the playoffs, and well, they did. They need to win their last 3 games. They went to Pennsylvania and won 22-15. They beat Lutheran East in a bizarre game, but they got the win.
Division 3 bonus points.
Yeah, that's the points that got them in, and then they knocked off Crestline 5-5, 37-0. But hey, all you need to do is get in to have a chance. And Lucas will be heading over to Strasburg, and we'll have the call for you on the OH.Report. But the Cubs, Danville regional semifinal?
Make it 12 straight.
Yes,
postseason runs for the Lucas Cubs. It's the best in Richland County. So, Lucas, we know their identity of football. You're seeing it on the screen right now. Run people over, and that's what they've done these last 3 weeks. They've really dove into that identity. They've locked it up defensively. That was the biggest part, because when I saw them play Danville, the defense was nearly not there. And in the same case with Hillsdale, where they lost 31-0. But if you can clean up that defense, and they have, only giving up 27 points in the last 3 weeks. They had a shutout in Week 10 in Crestline that you saw the highlights of. I think this Lucas team can go far if they can keep that defense up.
Yeah. And then they would have to face Waterford, who's a big name in there, the number 2 seed. But, I'd love to see another Lucas-Danville matchup. They're going to have big second-round matchups, though. But I do think that both of these teams have a chance of at least making it out of Week 11. Hillsdale, I have a chance. They have an ability to make it out of Week 14 easily, like we said. But that's it. Any final words on this on these regions before we move on?
So I gave my answer, and I said the Hillsdale Falcons, who, out of any region that we just covered, what's a team that you are going to go ahead and say, hit the guarantee button, as Charles Barkley would like to say?
Guarantee!
Who do you think is going to make it out of a region?
I mean, I want to say Shelby, but don't look down on Gallion.
Yeah.
I mean, they came a couple possessions away from knocking off Shelby. However, Shelby's been in this position last year and lost, that tough loss at Arlen Field to Ontario. They've learned, they're back, and I think they're the ones that are going to roll through this one. I believe they'll take on Galleon again, and I believe they'll win close again. But I think they've learned from last season in that playoff run, and I think they're going to take that to their advantage. Galleon hasn't been in that position before. I do think Galleon has it. I think we're going to see 1-2. I do, because those two teams are great, but I think Shelby just has the upper hand by a little bit. Coach Dick, you are allowed to use this as bulletin board material because I do think Galleon's great. I've said it all year. They got one of the best receivers, and just one of the best names out there, but I do think this is Shelby's the win. Other than that, some other favorites. I mean, Crawford, Gilead, or Centerburg out of that one. All three really good that can come out of that region. Hillsdale as well. Look out for Mohawk. Can Mohawk make a run? But they got Lyman Central Catholic. One of those teams, I believe it was either you. I think it was Angie Jardy said Lyman Central Catholic's probably one of the best bets to knock off Marion Local before.
I said that.
Or that was you. One of the best is. Why do you think that?
I just think that Marion Local has looked beatable in the last couple of weeks.
They
and
have
I know that
Coach Klein at least has he can, I think, ask for 3 videos from their opponent, the 3 games that were close.
Yep.
I think they can learn a lot from those 3 games.
The Thunderbirds I've just seen, and I've gotten to see them the last couple of years just continue to grow and kind of get up to that point to where they could be the ones to take down Marion Local. And I feel like if there's any team that can, why not? Lyman Central Catholic, a team that knows them well enough. They're in that area. I worry about some of the other teams that are not in the area that aren't too familiar with Marion Local and don't really have the ins that Lyman Central Catholic does.
They do it right.
Yes.
They do it right up there in Marion Local.
Okay.
If you guys know what I mean.
All right, let's.
Well, I mean,
we've
honestly,
talked too much football at this point.
But we still have to. We do have to talk a little bit more football now. But fastest 10 weeks are done. Now it's the sprint for 6 more weeks
Or 5.
Or 5, yes, or 5 to Canton Hall of Fame Stadium. Hopefully we'll be there for a few games. Anyway, that's it for the playoff talk, but we still have some football left right now because it is time for your Week 10 nominees for Friday Night Phenom. Roll it.
Time now for your Friday Night Phenoms from the final week of the regular season, presented to you by Spherion Mid-Ohio. To the castle we go for the final time in 25, as senior Carson Campbell for sure left his mark in his final game in the black and yellow, earning number 1 nominee honors. He rushed 23 times for 127 yards and 3 scores, but wasn't done there as he intercepted a pass on the 3rd play of the game and took it back to the house, then later added another interception, helping the Golden Knights clinch a senior night victory. Our second nominee did everything he could to help the Ontario Warriors clinch a spot in Week 11, as Cooper Kilgore was an offensive machine, giving the Warriors big play after big play in their home finale win over River Valley. The running back broke a 98-yard touchdown run, a 50-yard touchdown scamper, then also added a 67-yard receiving score, looking more like your user-created 99 overall player on Madden, turned into a real-life juggernaut. Nom Nom number 3 posted one of the more memorable performances in the Devil Dog rivalry as Danville's Cy Wallace ran all over the carpet at Tough Street Stadium, carrying the ball only 15 times to break the 150-yard mark, 153 to be exact, while finding the end zone 4 times. The over 10 yards per carry average will be something sticking in the nightmares of Bulldog defenders for the foreseeable future. Nominee number 4 had another stellar night in a championship atmosphere as Centerburg's Miles Marshall posted another century mark rushing performance in the Freddie Berg K-Mac championship game as he carried the ball 15 times for 137 yards and 2 scores, just outpacing honorable mention nominee Blaine Ball as the Trojans packed the trophy case on Friday night, not only holding on to the Freddie Berg trophy, but also bringing home the K-Mac championship as well. Our 5th nominee is back in the lineup after his fellow Big Walnut defenders made it into the nominees the last few weeks, as Nolan Burley was at it once again. Honestly, these numbers from him do not surprise me anymore. Well, I'm lying a bit. 247 yards on only 11 carries. This can't be real life, right? Right? Well, it is, as he ran into the end zone 3 times to clinch another conference title. 22.5 yards per carry. I mean, come on now. Another head-turning performance comes from nominee number 6, Mr. Braden DeVito, back once again with over 300 all-purpose yards, 237 yards passing in 2 scores, 72 yards rushing in 3 scores, and another whip-it blowout to clinch an undefeated season and unblemished MOAC mark. You know what, Mr. DeVito? You deserve a week off. We'll see you in Week 12. Our final nominee ran the Lucas Cubs into its 12th consecutive playoff appearance as senior Tim Daly follows fellow backfield mate Brady Giegold's performance last week, as he did it on both sides of the ball, rushing for 81 yards and a score, but keeping the Crestline offense from getting anything going by picking off 3 passes and a Cubs shutout victory, clinching a spot in Week 11. There are your 7 nominees. It's now time to cast your vote, with the winner being announced on Friday's Playoff Pigskin, and it's all brought to you by Spherion Mid-Ohio.
And as always, it is a double dip. Vote right now during the podcast, and it will be counted as 2. Just put the number down for Phenoms, but when we get to our next vote for top plays, put the number and the player if you would, so we can separate it. If you just put the number down, we're giving you votes for Phenoms if you're voting for top plays. Anyway, Jonathan, it's your turn.
Yeah, Brian's out of the office. Got to go watch the Cavs, and I get the chance to reflect on a great Week 10, some great top plays. Let's go ahead and roll our favorites.
The fastest 10 weeks in football are in the rearview mirror, but let's look back for our Week 10 top plays. Coming in at play number 1 is Centerburg's Hayden Love, who would not be denied from the end zone. Oh, is that 6'5", 230-pound Gavin Toombs on his back? Well, Hayden took it to third gear to rip that senior off and lunge his way into the end zone. Watch this again. Gotta love the effort out of Love that put Centerburg in the driver's seat early. Play number 2 comes from the WCAL Championship over at Norwayne, but it was the Falcons who pulled a little magic out of the hat. Watch this. Owen Sloan runs out of room and decides to go Showtime Lakers on the Bobcats. The skyhook to Hayden McFadden, snares it, lunges for the score. Clear Fork's Devin Oswalt lands at number 3 after this go route towards pay dirt results in a pay stub for 6 points. How about the high-pointed catch from the senior? Over the head top of a Galleon defender to take a highlight out of a tough loss to the Tigers over the weekend. Back to OH.Report East for number 4. Classic rivalry between Orville and Triway. Titans QB Luke Starr extends the play and unleashes one towards Bruin Flinner, who snags a 48-yard touchdown catch. The Titans took it to the Red Riders as they will now enjoy a Week 11 bye thanks to their 27-21 win over Orville. How many times do we get to spotlight the special teams on our list? Well, today it's twice, and how about a twofer at play number 5? Loudonville's Colin Cayley took not 1, but 2 Northmore kickoffs to the end zone for the Redbirds. Beautiful blocks down the field and some slick feet from the speedster give this play all of its juice for Coach Ed Heineberger's unit. You know the saying, at Lucas, you've got to run people over. Well, last Friday, Brady Giegold obliged as he rumbles and tumbles his way through the Crestline defense for this score. This took the cake as the top play in the Cubbies' substantial win over their rival Bulldogs in Crestline for a 12th straight trip to the postseason. What a career for the East Knox quarterback Jax Lester. The senior comes in at number 7 as he disappears in the pile, then reappears to open daylight across the sideline for a 26-yard touchdown against Danville. Jax made sure to leave us one final highlight to capstone what was an illustrious career as an East Knox Bulldog. Nolan Burley. That's all, folks. He's really good. The Big Walnut back takes this play 75 yards against Westland to lead his Golden Eagles to a 9-1 regular season. Another look shows a little hop skip from the junior, and the rest was history. The quickness was all he needed to pull past the Westland Cougars. 9-1 is nice, but 10-0 has a better ring to it. That's where Shelby sits thanks to the combination of Braden DeVito and Brady Bowman. How about 44 yards to the house against Harding? The Whippets part the Black Sea to grant another Shelby score. And finally, to crunch time we go for our final play of the countdown. Monroeville driving late against St. Paul. Colt Clark finds Chase Horn, puts it in the breadbasket with 14 seconds left to give the Eagles an undefeated year in the Firelands. Those are your nominees for this week's Talk Play, all thanks to Spherion Mid-Ohio.
Okay.
And you've got that chance to vote down below in the comments section. Make sure to put the number of the play and the first and last name of the player who made it to get your vote to count for not one, but 2 votes. Travis.
Double dip. And the Cavs currently triple dipping up on Detroit. 78-53 midway through the third quarter. So the Cavs looking to go to 3-1 as they want to roll again. Don't even need Jimmy Chitwood to win in this one. Now let's head on to the other fall sports that are in regionals right now and start with the players on the pitch. Regional soccer, and let's start off with the backyard rivalry to determine a spot in the Elite Eight. How about that? Ontario steamrolling Salina 6-0, and then Lexington with a 2-0 victory over Maumee as well. But right now, I mean, the Ontario Lady Warriors are rolling, Jonathan.
I mean, that was about as convincing as you can get. Taking down a 1 seed 6-0. I know they were the reigning district champions, but I was hoping for a little bit better of a fight than we saw over there in this game. So great stuff from Ontario. Lady Warriors move on, and that backyard rivalry is going to be oh so sweet as we're going to get to see that here soon enough.
And it will be right at Clear Fork. Shout out Jess Brokaw and company down at Clear Fork. This being moved from, I believe, what was it, Fostoria or Findlay, somewhere up there. Yeah, or maybe the border of
Delta.
Michigan. Yeah, but they'll get the winner of Elida and Granville. But Granville, a little bit down this year. Clear Fork beat them, I believe, 6-4 or 6-2 at home. So we'll see what happens there. But a backyard rivalry. Lexington did get the best of Ontario back at the beginning of the season. I believe it was 4-2 or 3-2. But so Ontario looking for some revenge, but they are rolling. They're firing on all cylinders right now. So that'll be a fun matchup you'll see coming up on that'll be Wednesday night.
And that place is going to be packed.
Oh yeah, it's perfect
Packed.
atmosphere. Yeah, people get your lawn chairs out, sit on the hill. Perfect. Just hope the weather.
It's one of those.
is good.
It's one of those games where I kind of talk about it and how. Of course, we stream the game live and free, but if our viewers go down a little bit just for the sake of attendance, I'm content
Go watch
with
it
that.
again. Watch it again. Watch the replay.
Yeah, you can watch it
It's
again
just
on
as
the
good for us
replay,
on the
of
OH
course.
Report if you watch the replay of it. So get down there, watch the match, and then watch it back afterwards because it's going to be a very good match. But we start our coverage actually off tomorrow night. Columbus Grove and the Lady Flames of Mansfield Christian, their first ever district championship, thanks to, a solid squad and now head coach Jesse Ryder, who will be on the call on the match Wednesday. But going up to the Michigan border, nearly, as Brian would say, the Michigan border or up to Canada, and winning in overtime 2-1 to get there. They take on Columbus Grove at Edison. Chris Bliley will be on the call of that one, but good for MCS.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
finally
love that.
breaking through. They've always, their goal most years, at least a district championship match, because they have some good teams they're facing there, in that district. But this year they finally break through and get to a regional.
And I want to apologize to MCS that we couldn't make it to that district championship game, but I feel like I shouldn't be apologizing. It should be more on the district that decided to play them all the way up at the Michigan border for a district championship game, but I digress.
And then the district saying, oh, we can't move the game. We don't want to. This is where you took this district. You go up there. Okay, we'll just get 2 golden goals in 1 week to knock off your teams up there and bring back the North Central Ohio, where soccer is just that good. Yeah. Well, they'll play at Edison, a much closer place for them.
They actually have the
coming up
upper
on
hand
Tuesday.
in that, because Columbus Grove, I believe it's about an hour 50, and Mansfield Christian, I'd say probably like
An hour.
55 minutes.
Yeah. So we're rooting for you, Jesse, and the ladies down at Mansfield Christian as they take on Columbus Grove. Also, we got a boys squad still left. You'll be at Marysville on Wednesday as Clear Fork takes on Wyoming in a big matchup. I mean, Clear Fork, They got to bring their A game for this one.
Yeah, they need A game and a little bit more as well, because Cincinnati, Wyoming, not just the best team in the state in that division, but they're one of the best teams in the state, period. And playing in Marysville, they're going to need every little bit of support over in the Valley to get up over to Marysville. Of course, we're going to have the game live and free. We always have great viewership on the OH.Report. But if you can get down to Marysville, make sure you are there. This team is going to want some help to get this Wyoming team maybe a little bit off track, because that game on a Wednesday, you never know what could happen on a wacky Wednesday
right before Halloween
boys soccer. Yeah,
maybe Cade Beachy and company. He gets a hat trick or something like that. Or Finn.
He had a beautiful free kick on Saturday.
Did he?
Against Elida at pretty much upper 90. MCS had a free kick as well over at Clyde. I got to see some amazing soccer last week, which is not something that is usually on my bingo card. But Brooklyn Rider, nice upper 90 free kick to the left side of the net. Beachy matched it on Saturday, took one to the right side of the net. And then he also put a nice ball in for Owen Weichel, and that was a 2-1 win for them over Elida. But I've been spoiled this week with some great sports.
How about the district semifinal match for Clear Fork? The PK with 30 seconds left, unable to get that, but then like a few minutes later, getting the golden goal in OT to advance back to that district final. Brian Skoronsky was on the call of that one. One of the reasons why he's resting his voice right now, because the dude was on a lot.
Was
we
it that
were
game?
On a lot.
Was it, which game was it, do you think? I haven't gotten to talk to him too much. Which
don't
game
know.
did he lose it?
It's hard
All
to tell.
of the above.
I had mine lost the week before during sectional action of volleyball. And let's move on to volleyball, because we have a lot of teams playing this week, and those start on Wednesday as we head to Elida. An area matchup. Again, we had the Lexington, Ontario matchup. Now we have Pleasant and Willard, two teams that have aspirations of making it to Wright State in the Final Four and maybe a championship match. But let's start with Willard. Did you?
I was there.
You were there for the district championship. I saw the district semifinal with them. They have a balanced offensive squad.
Yeah, when I got to see them play, I was really excited to see what they had. And what they did have was a very versatile setter in Cam Weirs. Cam, of course, great at setting up teammates for attacks, but she's also great at kind of stepping to the side and taking some swings as well on the outside as a pin hitter. But this Willard team, I was very impressed with them. They fell early to, oh gosh, who was it? It was Otsego. It was Otsego in a district championship. They fell early. They didn't lead in that first set until it was 25-24. They ran away, won that first set. They went on to sweep them. So it was a great game in the district title, and we got to see it live and free on the OH.Report. And I'm excited to see this one against Pleasant, because those Spartans are pesky.
Yeah. Willard, they need their three leaders to go. 3 over 200 kills. Weirs 217. Weiss with 237. Sloan with 235. 228 aces on the year. This is a team that has 135 blocks, so they play defense as well, but you're going to need to against Cockrell and the Pleasant Lady Spartans. Cockrell comes into this one 471 kills, one of the tops in Division 5, Jonathan. She is a player.
Yeah, and she was last year, and she's just even more so this year. I'm excited that she's going to have an opportunity to get them back to where they were last season in a state championship game. But Willard's not going to be an easy out, just like it was last year. They had some tight games as they tried to make their way over to that state championship that they played in last year. Pleasant, overall, not very different from last year's group. Who says they can't go and get it done again? Well, maybe it's the Willard Lady Flashes in that game on Wednesday. That will be a really fun watch.
Yeah, I'll be on the call alongside with Chris. We'll be on the call for that first one, Pleasant versus Willard. And the winner gets Huron versus Eastwood. We're doing that game as well. Huron has one of the best coaches in the history of state volleyball in Don Wood. Chris has been giving me some information that we'll talk about more on the game, the match on Wednesday. But one of the most winningest coaches currently and probably overall in the state of Ohio. He just continues to get district championships out of this squad. And I got to see them against Crestview in their district semifinal, and they're just as good. Smith 271 kills, Foster 260 kills, Graham with 159. They just play Huron volleyball, you know?
Yeah. The SBC could have a chance at a rematch in a regional championship game. How ideal would that be?
The co-champs
for the
too.
conference, yes, because they split in the regular season. They both went 9-1. Huron, I don't know too much about that team, but from the sound of it, if they're on par with Willard, I respect them a lot, and I definitely believe that they can make that run and potentially face Willard in a regional championship game. And then in that case, we would get at least one team that would go into Dayton with a chance at a state title. There's another one that's brewing as well that you're going to get to go see on Thursday.
Yeah, I was going to save them for last, but you teed me up for it now. The Monroeville Lady Eagles, what a win against Mohawk. Monroeville wins the first 2 sets. Kind of, you think, oh, this may be a sweep. No. Biz Klopp and company fight back. They force a 5th, but then Monroeville, they got the opening serve, got an ace, went up 2-3 points early on in the first to 15 set. They were able to take away with it and win that district championship match. But that was a match I believe would determine the regional favorite there. The last loss Monroeville had was in 5 sets to Mohawk in game number 4. Since then, they've won 20 in a row, led by the Adams family. Shout out Adam Thompson and his family, too, for dressing up as the Adams family on the block.
That's great.
The block party yesterday, and they actually won best group costume. But Addie Adams, as well as her sister Alexa Adams, just phenomenal. 4 years, 226 kills, 262. But that's not even the leader. The leader, Maddie Reber, 307 kills. Also, Platt Luce with over 100. They have such a balanced squad. And then in the back, Homan, 695 digs. They have 4 more players with over 200 digs. A very good defensive squad. If their serve receiving is on any given night, that team is unstoppable.
Yeah, so that game's against Jackson Milton on Thursday at 6 o'clock. How far is Burton from your place now?
Probably about an hour. So
okay.
It's not bad. It's not a bad drive for me at all. So compared to you guys, well, for you out of Columbus, that's a big drive. But from the Mansfield area, it's probably like an hour and a half, 2 hours. So it'll be an easy drive for me up there.
Let's stay in the Firelands.
Yeah, I was about to say, they're not the only Firelands Conference squad that is in a regional semifinal, because on Thursday, back at Elida, we have 2 more semifinals we'll bring your way. First, it will be Miller City Unranked versus the St. Paul Lady Flyers, and the runners-up in the Firelands Conference. They have that state tournament experience from a year ago, and they have some solid players back from that squad. Kalazewski, 290 kills. Cassidy with 216 kills. Stoll with 170. Dieter with 146. This is a team that, they want to get back to Wright State. And if they are to do so, they would take on the team that they would possibly face in a regional championship, and that is the top team in all of Division 7, the Calvert Lady Senecas.
And you're seeing them on your screen as well. They played each other in a state semifinal. This time it would be a regional championship game. But there's still a lot of juice, because I know St. Paul, they're going to go into that game if they get there, looking for some revenge on Calvert and just kind of make a statement to the rest of the state, because everybody believes this Calvert team is going to run away with a Division 7 state title. But St. Paul, they're probably the ones with the most ammunition and the most motivation to get past Calvert, and what a story that would be if they did.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great to see the rematch in a regional championship, and then Monroeville, Calvert would be, or St. Paul, that would be how about a Monroeville-St. Paul match for a state championship?
Is that possible?
That is possible, because the winner of Calvert and St. Paul play in the 8 o'clock match at Butler. If Monroeville were to win, they play in the 6 o'clock match, and then the 2 winners would take place 4 o'clock on Saturday, November 8th at Wright State.
It's lining up perfectly for us to make a trip over to Dayton, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And no area teams are playing on Friday, so we'll be back here for football. It's working out perfectly for the OH.Report this upcoming week. So, St. Paul, Calvert, I'm thinking that we'll get 2 winners there at Elida on Thursday for that one, and then, we'll see what happens. We do have multiple matches going on coming up. Starting on Wednesday, we'll have the doubleheader with Willard Pleasant, Huron Eastwood, and then Thursday, Monroeville Jackson Milton, Miller City St. Paul, Calvert Kalida, Buckeye Central, the Buckettes. Haven't talked about them yet, but how about the Buckettes? How about their run that they had that district championship match against Van Buren, 2 number 1 seeds. The
Yeah.
first time with this new bracket that we've seen 2 number 1 seeds play each other, and it was close early on. There isn't 4 sets because they swept them, but the 3 sets, 2 of the 3 sets, Buckeye Central was down 3, 4, 5 points early on, stayed composed, ended up winning. This was a very good match that they were able to pull out.
Yeah, and that will help them out moving forward into the future because they're going to have, of course, in that game coming up on Thursday, I will be there on the call from Fostoria. That game's going to be against Tenora, a team that I believe, that they knocked out Monroeville last year?
Yes,
Tenora
that was the
did?
semifinal, and then they beat New Bremen
Yeah.
to go on to the Final Four.
And then that's the same sort of blueprint, except substitute Monroeville for Buckeye Central now. If they beat Tenora, they're going to have to play New Bremen in that next round.
It's
most
Monroeville's
likely.
spot.
Yeah.
But, I mean, A.J. Jury, you got McDougal there. You have a very good squad.
And some young pieces that
Yeah.
have also jumped in, like Melania Chamberlain was an MVP
Yes,
of a game
she
that I got
was
to call.
very good in that district final.
Yeah, so she's going to be huge. Both of the Seiferts. You've got Megan, and then you've also got Elise, who are going to be crucial and catamount to what they do if they want to beat Tenora, but also not just then, but then to try and take on New Bremen on Saturday. Both of those games would be over at Fostoria.
Well, this is going to come down to McDougal. If she can get some aces from the service line, she can set pretty much perfectly through that night. I think they will have a very solid chance. One other game that I think we may be doing, looking at the schedule, Doughton-Waynedale. Hillsdale was so close. I got to shout out the Lady Falcons, though, going through Smithville, who was higher ranked, that beat them 3-0 and 3-1 in the regular season, knocked them off, and then they had match point in set 5 after falling down 2 sets to none to Waynedale, 14-13, but then Waynedale hits the last 3 points to win a district championship. But shout out the Lady Falcons, back-to-back district runners-up after being the laughingstock of the WCAL, not getting any wins for I believe it was like 3 seasons.
Yeah.
We got to actually show their first win in 3 seasons
That's
in
awesome.
the WCAL. It was against Waynedale as well, I believe, or Doughton, one of the two. But for them to turn this team around, it was great to see them do what they were able to do. But we have the all WCAL, so we have 3 rematches for a chance in the Elite Eight.
And follow me here because I'm starting to think in my head that after this game, is that 3 WCAL teams that get knocked out in the postseason by another WCAL team?
Yeah,
It's
Smithville
just
got knocked out by
collateral
Hillsdale.
damage.
Hillsdale
over
got
in the
knocked
league.
out by Waynedale, and then one of these 2 teams going to get knocked out. So it is literally a WCAL bracket, and that's a very good conference for volleyball. Last year, 2 district champs, 2 runners-up, 3 more teams in a district semifinal, and then 1 with a sectional championship. Only 1 team didn't win a sectional final last year. That was Rittman. So a very, very good conference for volleyball. All those regional championships will be played on Saturday, as well with as the 2 girls soccer regional championships. And then if Clear Fork were to win that regional semi, they'll play a regional championship on Sunday. And then we focus ourselves on state championship week for volleyball, for soccer, and then the rest of the teams from football that got byes will get their first taste of playoff action as well. Update on the Cavs real quick. They're up 25 at the end of the third quarter, 90-65. There you go for that. And then also Monday Night Football. Your score in that right now is 7-0 Chiefs with 5:46 left in the second quarter. Any final words, Mr. Langdon, before we start another busy week here on the OH.Report?
Best of luck to all of the teams competing in the tournament. I'm so excited to see how many of our area teams make it out of this week. This is kind of of course, district tournaments, a lot of people get knocked out, but this is where the beef of it happens because there's a lot of runs that are either going to make their way on to a state tournament run or it's going to end just a little bit short. Best of luck to all of our soccer teams, volleyball, and football. It's going to be great to see playoffs start. It's just a really exciting time of year. I know you can relate, Travis, just getting a chance to cover all of these teams that are going to start crafting stories moving down the line.
Yeah, no. Best time of the year. You get the most competitive action in fall sports at this time of year, where soccer matches are the best. Volleyball, so competitive. And then you get football. You get to start the path to Canton as well. But that's going to do it for this edition of the OH Report video podcast. Want to thank everybody that helped make things possible. Adam Thompson behind the scenes on the production. Jonathan Langdon. I'm Travis Berardi. And as well, Brian Skronsky, Jory Skronsky here at the OH Report. We will see you tomorrow. We have one soccer match, Columbus Grove, Mansfield Christian, and then tune in about 9:30, depending at the end of the soccer match. I will have the final Country Roads rankings. Who is the champion this year out of our teams from the 5, 6, and 7? And then after that, I will unveil our regular season stat leaders champions. You want to stay tuned for the end because the rushing one came down to the final game, the final quarters actually, so you want to see that tomorrow. But that'll do it. For Jonathan, for Adam, I'm Travis. We will see you later.